I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy.
Welcome all, this is the Australian Indie Wrestling Cast, fellow wrestlers, tradies, event support staff, friends, foes, and everyone in between. If you have a topic, you can reach out to the Don at the Don Morley. The Don, how are you, my friend? What's been going on?
Good. Over in the West Coast, we have a little thing called Western Australia Day, and that meant more of my regular work. So I normally have a day of getting all my shit together before we jump into the pod, but I didn't get it this week, so I'm ready for some pod though.
I saw a little bit of WA Day. The Eagles dressed up as Richmond for the day. I saw that. Yes.
What?
But never mind. Hey, you can talk basketball. I can talk shitty AFL. So
yeah, look, man.
Moving hastily along, you got nothing done because they made you work an extra day, or you made yourself work an extra day.
Yep. But yeah, apart from that, good weekend, and yeah, just trying to keep up with everything Australian wrestling. And to be honest, there's not a whole lot going on.
No, there's not.
However,
there's a couple of results that came in. I tell you what, getting back to last week, we did see Slam. Dan Archer ended up winning over Caveman Ugg, so that does make things interesting for the long term up there in Slam. What else did we see during the week? I think I posted Emma had got her US citizenship.
Yeah, positive. Like, she's gone over trying to make a life in wrestling and making a life, and she's got her citizenship, and she's, doing her thing. And the comment section, Jesus.
Just killing it.
Come on, guys. Way to turn a positive into just a way to shit on everything, right?
Yep.
Come on now. It's a highlight for her life. She's had a baby. She's a US citizen. She with her partner, and obviously once, depending on things how they go, she's going to be wrestling more or less, or we don't know. But hey, it's a positive thing in her life. And then we get, the hating comments. Oh, imagine wanting to become a citizen of that festering shithole. LOL. Look, you don't like the States? That's cool. I think Tennille does.
What I casually said is what I've heard from most wrestlers when they start out is like they'd love to move to the US, and like they think that there's a bit of a goal.
Like I said before, you have to select the location before you start the DS160 application. And you won't have any way of seeing what appointments are available in different locations without going through the whole process of completing a DS160 and paying the application fee. Once you pay the fee, you get to see the appointments available for that specific location that you initially selected. But while you can change the appointment time once you locked it in initially, it's not easy to change the location, and you can't see appointments at other locations.
It is for anyone whose dream is to become a professional wrestler, because that's where the grandest stage is. You can't become an employee for an American company generally without getting some sort of citizenship or a green card, and I'm sure there's a lot better tax bracket if you're not on a green card. You actually make more money from the thing that you love to do. I just don't understand it. Like, very few. I think there was one that said yay. Oh no, sorry, there was another one. Alan Menz, good for her. I'm glad she's happy, but then still had to throw in can't wait for DJT to revoke her citizenship and send ICE to arrest and deport her though. That's a real cluey insight for someone who doesn't live in the States. Good work. Diane Belmont said yay. That's great. That's positive. Thomas Wilson, I wouldn't want to live in a clown country, but each to their own. That's cool, man. You're not anywhere close to being a professional wrestler or doing anything in the wrestling scene, so that's fine. You'll never be part of that country,
or being given the choice to live in the clown country. So
yeah, Tyson Dow, don't think it really is their ultimate goal to become an American citizen. Look, you can argue semantics of whether you want to become an American citizen, but if that's the job you want, that's what you've got to do. It's like, I don't think wrestlers really want to bump, but they want to do that to become a wrestler. It's a silly point. And DJ, come on, man. We get it. I thought we were cool. Be positive, man. I'm calling you out, bro. Like, don't bring the negativity. Bring some positive. I know that's in you. But it just blew my mind that it went from something that should have been, oh, that's really cool, to who wants to go live there? Well, clearly a lot of people, because there's thousands of them or millions of them that jump the border all the time. So it can't be too bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, there's a few lining up via immigration, but if you want to take the quick route like Don, and you can run the border guards and jump the wall like the Don would plan, if you obviously...
I don't think the wall was that well built, because they're still getting under it or over it. I don't know.
No walls holding the Don back. They'll give you the tip. And I tell you what does hold me back sometimes is distance. And I saw that I didn't get out to the BCW ones, which because of the
with
distance,
the Great Muta.
Yeah, with the Great Muta. And I saw they also had the Loose Bastards versus someone which is Crackerjack and Adam Brooks, and it made me think, why do I go to one company and not the other, and it's all the same wrestlers,
Well, yeah. That's, proximity, I think, at the end of the day, is the big indicator of whether people are going to go to a show. If they're going to have to drive like an hour or two, it's going to be a bit of an ask.
Well, not even that. Just to travel like even 40 minutes, even going out these days. So yeah, even if you put it in the backyard or in the suburb across, I still wonder if I'd go. I wonder if I'd go and watch it, and it just made me think. I used to be all about supporting wrestlers over companies, and now it's more I've been going to companies over wrestlers, and that's kind of changed for me in the last year or so.
Okay. Yep. Well, it's a catch-22 for guys with exclusivity to a brand or to a company. As most Australian wrestling companies, I say most because there's one that wrestles weekly. It's hard to get your reps up, to get your name out there, to get exposure, to get practice in what you do, unless you're able to wrestle in a few different companies. And then, so for someone to go, well, because it's or just about all the same people that are wrestling, I can miss this one and go to the next one. So to be able to offer something a little bit unique, the fan experience is a huge thing, I think. If the people just rock up, watch the show, and go home, they can do that anywhere. But if they get an opportunity to meet the wrestlers, talk to the wrestlers, buy some merch, comfort, I think, as well. I remember you were saying when we had Evolution in Perth at Willerton,
that was saying,
cold, yeah. You were freezing your ass off in that venue. Yeah, so that's a thing that people need to either take into account or
take a jacket.
It looks like you've got all kinds of effects on the shows. But yeah, there's still people out there that follow specific wrestlers. I know people that will follow, not follow so much, but if there is certain wrestlers on a card, they'll go. Doesn't matter the name of the show, just because they enjoy what they see from those pro wrestlers.
And I used to be one of those people, but I think getting a bit old, or just but I hope to improve that over the coming summer, and get out to a few more shows, and even during the winter, and get out to a few more shows, because
Well, another huge thing as well is like accessibility, and if you're a public transport person, how hard is it to get to the venue? Because that can change completely whether people are going to go if they use public transport and there's just no access, or the access is too far away, or after a show, is there still public transport running?
Well, I like to enjoy my night out, so I catch public transport to the events, and the ballroom is really easy to get to via public transport for MCW, and Essendon and Northcote for Renegades is very easy to get to.
Nice.
So yeah, that's the main ones. That's why I mainly go to them.
One of the reasons.
Reasons, yeah.
But then also parking. If you're the kind of person who doesn't take public transport, and you go to a venue and you have to park 2 kilometers away and walk all the way up, because there's just no parking nearby, no parking available. That can be a huge factor for people, no matter who's wrestling on the show or what the company is.
I've had to make a few distance down to Frankston or Geelong for a few shows, or I used to go out to Ferntree Gully to PCW a lot, and that's a fair distance from the city centre or especially if you're travelling, through the city or have to go through the city on the public transport,
Yeah, can be a bit of a pain. Yeah, so there's just so many different things. Unless everything aligns magically, there's some people who just won't go. But you will still get your fans. Like in Perth, we've been doing some shows up in Merriwa, which is a trek, whether it's public transport or your own transport. But the venue's so beautiful, people are keen because they know they're going to get a good show at a great venue, great production values, even though it's a long way out.
And there's no alcohol at those shows either.
Well, yeah, that's it. Well, so everyone's driving. No one's taking public transport. Don't need the Uber if you can't get drunk.
Yeah,
but I personally
also massive car park as well there. It's a really good venue
personally, like even non-wrestling events, quite often I just won't drink because I like to be able to park my car and get home, not waiting. Like, there's nothing worse than you go somewhere and then you, for ages, waiting for an Uber or a taxi and there's just nothing coming, or you're trying to get on a train and there's like 20 smelly people who have been drinking,
you tried 200.
Yeah, right. And then you just, I don't know, I don't do good in public.
Well, you don't do well in crowds, Don? You don't do...
No, I don't. I'm one of those people that doesn't like to be bumped, who doesn't like someone walking too close to me. I'm like, social distancing was magic for me. Everyone would stay the fuck away.
Yeah, don't touch me.
It's great. I almost wanted to come back, apart from the fact that it killed a bunch of people. I don't appreciate that part. But the social distancing, I think we should have hung on to.
Yeah, even the stopping everything for a month or two and just letting the environment heal. But that's another podcast.
That's a different podcast.
All entirely. Yeah. This is the Australian Indie Wrestling Podcast. And speaking of Australian Wrestling Indie, you got to talk about Pro Wrestling Australia.
Yeah, because I saw that. I know they've done it before, so it's not brand new. But I saw that they're doing a little pre-show They're doing a pre-show at the NRL at Combank Stadium, and I just think marketing and advertising wise, it's genius. They're getting in front of people as long as they provide something that people want to come see, and they're advertising at the show for their next big event. I think it's a great way to get in front of fresh eyes, new eyes, people that may not have seen it before. I still, to this day, when I bring up the fact that I wrestle with some people, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know they had wrestling in Perth." And I'm like, "Dude, it's been going for 20 plus years."
Oh, yeah.
They're like, "Oh, I just didn't know." So even though you think something that's been running for so long, there's still people that just don't know it exists. So just be able to be in front of different eyes, new eyes, and being able to show them what you do, you can turn that into a ticket sale. You can turn that into a lifelong fan. Especially like with NRL, it's hard hitting. It's not by no stretch at all is it similar to wrestling, but it's a hard hitting athletic event. So they're
not doing it on the field, are they, Don? They're not wrestling on the field. They're probably wrestling in some area.
I've seen some footage where they have, like, it looks like, unless I'm mistaken, it looks like the ring is in the corner of the wrestling field. But then I also saw a picture where it looked like they were outside. Field.
Oh, wow. A bit of an anarchy in the arena. But yeah, so I get you. So in the corner in the rectangle is PWA's wrestling ring. So if you're in that corner, you get a good view. But if you're in the other corner, you get a shocking view, and you get the binoculars out. But that's just is what it is. But yeah, now I get the idea.
Also, I did see that it looked like there was like images of them in the ring from the outside. So I'm not 100% sure. I probably should have done a little bit more research, but I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's great. Anything that, as long as it's good, and I think PWA will provide good wrestling for people to see. Any kind of eyes on wrestling, that kind of stuff is great. It's important.
Well, PWA are good because they're one of the companies that could probably charge for a training day and get away with it, Don. I caught this during the week, a little cheeky poster charging $35 for a training camp. And of course, it's got Madison Eagles and Robbie Eagles on there. And of course, we all know who Madison Eagles is and her reputation. And of course, Robbie wrestling around the world in New Japan and around every Australian wrestling promotion. So there's a $35 tryout day there. Don, what do you think of that?
Look, I've always been of the idea that, and I think we mentioned this in other podcasts, I think your open day, your training day where people are getting introduced to it, I think that should be free. I think that you should be able to, obviously rock up, fill out some paperwork, and check it out, because you imagine you pay $35 and 10 minutes in, you're like, you know what, this isn't for me.
10 minutes in?
Yeah, I don't know. That's not me. Like, that doesn't happen to me, but someone comes along and they're just, it's just not what they expected. I know 99% of people, right? I tell you this right now, I guarantee you, 99% of people when they rock up to an open day think they're just going to throw a couple of power bombs, punch a few people, you swing a few chairs and they're going to be champion.
No one thinks they're throwing power bombs and swinging chairs.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's what people think they're going to rock up and do and become a champion. That's why we've got, 65?
Yeah, about 63, 64.
63 feds in Australia. That's why, because they rock up to this thing and go, oh, well, they just don't know how good I am. So they start their own little company and have it in front of 10 people and think that they're professional wrestlers.
I'll tell you what, Don, the amount of skinny guys I've seen with new wrestling belts out there during the week or during the last year is getting insurmountable.
Dude.
The term wrestling federation is really been thrown around loosely in Australia. That's why we suggest, maybe pay the $35 and get along to Slam. PWA. Maybe spend the $35 if you're in the Sydney area, because you are getting trained by two of Australia's best. Don, I did mention Slam. Slam are having a training camp, so if you do want to wrestle in front of a big crowd, Slam have proven they draw a big crowd every year, 2,000 plus. So if you want to start out with a big goal in mind of wrestling on that card, it's definitely worth getting down to Slam and going to their free weekend. The Don, I also caught Rock and Roll Wrestling are doing a $50 children's dream camp. Now, I thought I'd ask you what. No? Straight out no. Don?
No, don't.
You're not
Children,
no. You've got a son that's ready for wrestling. Would you hand over a pineapple and your son and walk away for a couple of hours?
No, it's ridiculous to even have the thought of training children in professional wrestling. It's ridiculous.
Well, Don,
it shouldn't be done.
Mindfully, they are doing it on a show day, so they're setting up the ring and then they're doing it as a matinee sort of thing.
Nope.
Oh,
nope.
Sorry, I was trying to play.
Or you can't do it. If there's anyone with kids out there and their kid wants to be a pro wrestler and they really want to get around it, do not send them to a pro wrestling training. Get them involved in freestyle wrestling. Get them involved in jiu-jitsu. Get them involved in basketball, football, karate, taekwondo, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Gymnastics, even a thing?
Gymnastics would be great, especially for being able to form a good base of muscle for all kinds of different stuff. Your body's not like to be taking bumps. Your body's not ready for that. And before people go, but we do training that doesn't involve bumping. It's just not, you can't, you do them like one camp and then where do they go from there? You know what I mean? Like you can't
So,
engage
backyarding and
kids.
stuff.
Yeah,
Your
they're gonna go
skeleton's
straight to
still
backyarding.
forming and stuff.
I've been trained by real professional wrestlers. No, stop, stop, stop. I don't have anything else. There's a lot of subjects I'm very careful with because I don't want to upset anyone. I don't care. Do not train children in professional wrestling. Do not do it. Encourage them to become active in sports and that sort of thing. But wait till at the bare minimum 16 years old.
I was just
Like
about to ask you, what age do you recommend starting?
even if you were
What?
to engage with training with someone who's 16 years old, you're not bumping them. You know, the they've equated bumping to a very small car crash.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, like me and hundreds of other people do it and train in it. And we're taking that risk, but at 16, it's a huge ask. Like, you still got to, the body hasn't formed properly yet. Before you start.
Your skeleton's still growing. Your skeleton's still growing. Well, you might be able to heal quickly as a kid. You still, and no one wants to be, no one wants any more Kenny Omega matches with 8-year-olds. So
yeah,
you know that you can forget about that. So, you know, from one acid trip to another.
Oh no.
We saw, well, from the acid trip of training children to the acid trip of the Australian Pro Wrestling, and Phil Picasso, friend of the show, sent me this during the weekend, and I had to send it to you, Don.
Oh man,
I
still don't understand what's happening.
It took me a few whiles. It took me a few watches, and I had to go through the page of Australian Pro Wrestling to understand. But I think there's some sort of gripe with Australian,
you were saying.
with Australian wrestling superstars taking their venue, and then now because I couldn't understand the kangaroo references, and
it's like he was a bed, a kangaroo, and Phil Picasso. I was like, I don't.
It was weird. It was like he was trying to bed the kangaroo. You're right, like trying to mate the kangaroo. I don't know what was going on, but then I cycled down a bit, and it was like, yeah, they'd taken a venue off Australian Wrestling Superstars, had taken a venue off Australian Pro Wrestling, and now it's just turned into one big acid trip with Phil Picasso flying as an eagle.
Then I looked at more Australian Pro Wrestling, and it's all acid trip. Like,
yeah,
I don't
know how you can promote like that and draw people. I don't know how, unless people are rocking up, like dropping acid a couple of hours beforehand and then getting to the venue, and then just enjoying that, or you know, the crowd that does rock up.
Yeah. I still don't understand. Like, even with the explanation, I still don't.
That's the best explanation I can come up with from what I can garner from the show. I'm not dropping acid to fucking try and understand it.
Is that selling tickets? Like, is it getting people in the door? Like,
well, I wouldn't think so, because I think a couple of companies are encroaching on their turf. Shall we just say from our top 50 Australian territories video, which you can watch on YouTube at the moment. So there'll be a link to that. But Don, what have you seen any piss poor promotion lately?
I've seen heaps of it. Like, don't get me wrong, the top tier of promotion in Australian wrestling is amazing. Like, it is.
And by top tier, you mean the tier of companies actually pulling crowds because of their promotion?
Yes, 100%. But there is some, like, again, we're talking about training children. I see promo images that look like they were made by children, and promos that look like they star children. Look, I get that there's a level where people start and they're trying to branch out and trying to build up. You're not the guy. Yes, when you're wrestling, you can't go out there and go, hey, I'm not very good. You know, I get that. That makes sense. You can't, but to
Hey,
dictate
could you have a
yourself-
gimmick and like you just like supplements aren't for everyone?
Yeah, maybe, but man, you're losing every time. And the matches have got to be short. Yeah, one of the biggest problems we have in Australian wrestling is obviously talking about having 63 feds.
Well, yeah, close to 65. It's getting up there. New ones are popping up because people are having a disagreement. They're like, they're like, man, you're just not witnessing my fucking greatness. You just don't know.
I'm gonna go build my own theme park with blackjack and hookers. In fact, forget the park.
And then it comes across to like, that all ties into the problem. People just going like, well, I want to wrestle like this, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but well, I paid for the ring, so I'm gonna do this. It's like,
for the ring. I paid for the belt. I paid for the venue.
I'm gonna be a heavy cruiserweight because I can do one good flip. No, you're just shit at wrestling. It's not how it works. Like you're telling a story. You're making a film. Do you know what I mean? Like I know that there's a lot of hater in that. Like with when Vince said back in the day, we're making films.
We make movies.
That's it. You're selling a story. Like, and if you're trying to tell me that this tiny little human being is power slamming this giant human being because that giant human being knows how to take a really good bump and bump themselves, it's the suspension of disbelief is gone. I'm not here anymore for it. No one is. Everyone's going, oh, cool. You take them away from the storytelling of it, and it isn't good. It's bad. And stop doing it. Do Australian wrestling a favor and put out quality so that when people go to your shows and, maybe you're not the biggest show, you don't have all the production or whatever, but at least when they go, they can believe what they're seeing and they're enjoying themselves. And it's not a farce in wrestling. Like, do better, everyone. There's people who are doing great things, making great strides in wrestling. And the ones that are not doing good things are pulling everyone down. So lift your fucking game. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, from looking like a pantomime to looking like one of Australia's best feds is a big spectrum these days. The term wrestling fed gets thrown around very lightly. Everyone seems to want to throw their hat in the ring when they and start and get their own. If they got the money, spend their manager's money, shall we say, or spend their life savings.
Parents' money.
The wrestlers are loving it because they're getting paid. So more work for the Australian wrestlers. But let's just have like maybe a few good feds, like that old movie, A Few Good Men, A Few Good Feds.
Yeah. Well, but even saying that though, like there's, I'm not saying that people like a lot of places have to completely go and shut down, but make it good, with what you've got, make it good. Don't just be like, oh, well, I do this, so I deserve this, and I'm going to have this. If you've got a guy that's much better than you, work with them, make them the champion of the company, not just, oh, well, I do the most, so I deserve to hold a belt. And it's like you're just doing yourself a disservice.
But then you go too far the other way when everyone is putting on the same show.
Don't be wrong, I get that. Everyone has to start somewhere. But you don't you don't have to have the same show. Like they say, if there was only one or two feds in each state, then there's no space. You will have the exact same show in those places. Do you know what I mean? Because there's only so many spots, and then guys they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to move anywhere. There doesn't need to be 63 feds in Australia. You could definitely 100% knock half of them out instantly. However, if you are a fledgling company and you're building up and you're working, work with the bigger name guys, but don't bring in that guy so that you can beat him for your championship, so that you can look like you're better than that guy, but everyone knows you're not because they can see it. Bring him in, have him get a feud with someone, and he can elevate that character.
And then make them beat you, and then for the champion or something like that.
But not for don't make it for your championship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just have him come in and work something, make it good. And if you've got a guy who's pushing up to that level, maybe that'll work great. You know what I mean? Because then again, that guy will elevate. But yeah, don't have this. Yeah. Sorry, we've talked about that for way too long.
Well, Don, give us a wrap around the weekend of what's coming up.
Yes, so thanks to Australian wrestling community and Michael Lee, we have the wrap around the country. In the ACT, we have ICW Australia Tag Warfare on the 7th of June. Slam Pro Wrestling have an Academy Showcase on the 7th of June as well. Over to New South Wales, Newcastle Pro Wrestling have Fight Night on the 7th. Wrestle Strong Dojo, I imagine that's in their dojo, have a show on the 7th of June as well. And Pro Wrestling Australia having their, we just talked about it earlier, at the NRL at Combank Stadium on June the 8th, the Sunday. Queensland, you've got Nightfall Wrestling Start to Fall on the 7th. Queensland Wrestling Alliance presenting Dominance on the 7th of June. Pro Wrestling South Australia, as we move to South Australia, have their Hall of Fame ceremony, which we were going to talk about, but we didn't. So we might chat that next week. Victoria PCW have Evolution and Ignition on the 5th and the 7th. That was the company I was talking about that does weekly wrestling. I'm eternally jealous that they have the venue and the capacity to be able to wrestle every week. Good on them. Power forward for PCW. Peak Pro Wrestling have a Royal Rumble, patent pending, from the Fed on the 8th of June. And then WA, we have our ESPW Revenge this weekend. We didn't even talk about Revenge. The whole pod. Can't believe we didn't talk about everything going on in Perth. But that's okay, because they can see that probably next week on YouTube. There's lots of cool stuff going on. Robbie Hart versus Delcano. And we've also got the Great George versus Jay Taylor. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe to continually get content from Australian indie wrestling. Make sure that you get to some local wrestling as soon as possible. Go down, check it out. If you like a wrestling company, buying a ticket puts money in there, pays the guys, and gives you a great night of entertainment. If you want to support a specific wrestler, make sure you hit the merch table, buy their t-shirt, buy their merch, buy a sticker, buy a poster, buy an 8x10, because that helps them on their wrestling journey. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.
All the doubters, they're just downers. I swear to God, they all let me down.